she screamed from across the street, waving a printed HOA notice like it was a weapon. "You can't keep that baby. Hand her over now." My heart dropped, but my feet stayed planted on the cracked driveway. I stared at Karen, the same woman who once lectured me about a crooked garden hose, now demanding my newborn like she owned the world. My wife clutched the baby tighter, her knuckles white. "This is insane," I said, keeping my voice steady, though my blood boiled. Neighbors peeked through blinds, some whispering, some recording. Karen didn't blink. "I'm enforcing the HOA rules. That child belongs to the community. You need to follow the law." Her smirk was smug, like she already had victory. That's when I noticed the black SUVs rolling slowly down the street. "Fake cops," she'd called back up to make this look official. I took a slow breath, weighing my next move. "Funny," I said, my voice calm, "because I'm actually a Navy SEAL, and I've trained for moments exactly like this." The smirk faltered. Her fake authority cracked just a fraction. Cameras popped out from my porch security system, capturing every second. Neighbors gasped as the tension thickened. "You're bluffing," she hissed. "No bluff," I said, stepping closer, letting my presence fill the street. "Try to take her, and you'll find out exactly how much trouble breaking the law can bring." She looked around, suddenly aware that the street was watching, that her lies and fake threats were about to crumble. I could see panic flicker in her eyes, but she wasn't done yet. "Call the cops," she yelled to the SUVs, but the drivers froze. Their badges looked real from a distance, but my quick skin caught the fake patches. Karen was running out of tricks. My wife held the baby closer, whispering, "I knew you'd protect us." I smiled, but my eyes never left Karen. "You really don't want to do this," I warned, letting the street hear every word. The quiet before chaos was heavy. A single misstep from Karen, and everything she built on lies would collapse, and I had all the evidence I needed, hidden in plain sight. This wasn't just a confrontation. This was exposure, and she had no idea what was coming next. "You think your little tricks scare me?" she spat, but the trembling in her voice betrayed her. I took a slow step forward, letting the cameras roll, letting the neighbors witness. The moment she realized power doesn't belong to those who demand it. It belongs to those who earn it. And in that moment, the baby cooed, oblivious to the storm, reminding everyone on the street exactly who truly mattered. Karen's face went pale when she saw the footage pop up on my tablet. The security camera had captured her stomping onto our lawn, waving her HOA papers, and shouting like a tyrant. "You can't post that," she yelled, lunging forward, but I held the tablet high, just out of reach. "Oh, I'm not posting it yet," I said slowly. "I'm saving it for the real cops." Her fake cops in the SUVs shifted nervously, whispering to each other. One of them even glanced at me, doubt flickering in his eyes. I could see the plan unraveling, and it gave me a strange sense of satisfaction. Karen always thought she could scare anyone, but she'd never faced someone who could call her bluff and back it with proof. "You don't understand. The HOA has authority here," she shouted, but her voice lacked its usual punch. I stepped closer, letting the morning sun glint off my dog tags hidden under my shirt. A subtle reminder that I wasn't just a regular homeowner. Authority isn't given by fake letters or SUVs. Karen, authority comes with truth. And your truth. It's falling apart. Neighbors were gathering now, drawn by the commotion. Phones were out, recording every second. Some shook their heads, others whispered curses under their breath. I could feel the momentum shifting. Karen tried to shout over the crowd, but every word sounded weaker, smaller. She looked around desperately, realizing she was no longer in control. My wife held our newborn close, eyes shining. "I knew you'd handle it," she said softly, but I didn't answer. My focus was on Karen, whose mask of power was crumbling. I let a slow, deliberate pause stretch out, just long enough for the crowd to notice the fear creeping into her posture. Then came the twist she didn't see coming. One of her supposed HOA enforcers whispered to the other, "Do you really want to do this?" The doubt was visible, and I knew the next move would be hers or her downfall. Karen tried to rally, but I could tell the storm she summoned wasn't strong enough to withstand what was coming next. Karen's knees went weak. For a moment, she froze mid-step, staring at the growing crowd in the street. I could see the panic spreading across her face, like a shadow she couldn't shake. Her fake authority, once loud, brash, untouchable, was disappearing before everyone's eyes. This This isn't fair, she stammered. I have rules. HOA rules. I let a slow, measured laugh escape. Rules? You mean rules you made up to boss people around? The ones you use to harass neighbors, call fake cops, and threaten a baby? Those rules. My voice carried across the street, calm but deadly sharp. Neighbors were recording, whispering, and for the first time, Karen wasn't controlling anything. The power had shifted and she knew it. The SUVs idled silently, their drivers exchanging glances. I noticed one of them, fidgeting with a badge that didn't quite shine like the others. A fake. I stepped closer, letting the tablet display the clear evidence of her trespassing, yelling, and threatening behavior. Every second was now public, immortalized on the cameras. You wanted this street to follow your rules, I said softly, almost taunting. Now the street knows the truth. Karen's eyes darted around frantically. Her perfect plan was collapsing. Her fake enforcers looked at her with uncertainty, like children who suddenly realized the parent they followed had no real power. I can call the real cops, she screamed, voice cracking. The moment she said that, I knew she dug herself deeper. I raised a finger. Go ahead. Call them. The words were like ice. I already have the footage, the timestamps, and the witnesses. You're not going to get away with threatening my family. Her mouth opened, then closed. The SUVs started rolling slowly backward, their fake authority slipping as reality set in. Karen's panic was now a physical thing, her hands trembling, face flushed, lips quivering. She barked orders at the drivers, trying to reclaim control, but the spell had broken. The street, the cameras, even her own enforcers no longer obeyed her. A soft murmur rose from the neighbors, growing louder. Someone whispered, "She's crazy." Another said, "I can't believe she tried that with a baby." The whispers became chatter. Then a steady stream of murmurs as they all witnessed her humiliation. I felt a surge of calm satisfaction. This was the moment she would never forget. Then came the first real twist. Karen lunged forward suddenly, like she had one last desperate move. I stepped to the side, and in that instant, a neighbor, an older man named Mr. Hawkins, who usually kept to himself, opened his garage and pulled out a megaphone. "Everyone, listen up," he shouted. The crowd turned. "This woman has no right to threaten anyone's family. I've lived here 20 years. She's abusing HOA rules." Karen froze again. She hadn't expected allies. She hadn't expected her lies to unravel in public. Her eyes darted, wild, calculating. And that's when I made my move. Slowly, deliberately, I stepped onto the street, the baby safe in my wife's arms. "Karen," I said, my voice carrying, calm but commanding, "do you really want to escalate this? Because if you do, the truth will follow you everywhere." She stammered. I'm trying to protect the community." Her voice cracked again, revealing the lie. "You're trying to protect your control," I corrected, letting the security footage play over the tablet loud enough for everyone to hear. The neighbors gasped, whispering, pointing. The tide had turned completely. The second twist hit when one of her supposed HOA officers stepped forward. A young man, shaking, visibly nervous. "Ow, ma'am, maybe we shouldn't." His voice trailed off. He looked around, realizing Karen had lost the street. She glared at him, but the anger in her eyes no longer commanded fear, it commanded doubt. Her empire of intimidation was crumbling, and her own crew was the first to feel it. My wife leaned against me, whispering, "I never thought she'd actually do this in broad daylight." I nodded. "She didn't think anyone would be ready," I murmured. "But that's the thing about people who abuse power, they always underestimate the ones who quietly prepare." The crowd was fully invested now. Phones out, cameras recording, whispers turning into chatter, murmurs turning into loud condemnation. "She's crazy. Did you see her? She actually tried to take a baby." The energy in the street was electric. Karen had ignited curiosity, anger, and disbelief all at once, and all of it was turning against her. Then came the next shocking moment. Karen tried one more stunt. She reached into her purse, pulled out a thick stack of papers, and waved them furiously. "I have legal documents. You can't prove anything," she shrieked. The papers were unreadable, mismatched, official seeming but meaningless in the face of video evidence and witnesses. I calmly picked up one of them, glancing at it. "This is nothing. Just letters, signed by you, not a court. Threats, nothing more." Her jaw dropped. The weight of public exposure was sinking in. Her ego, the same ego that had run the neighborhood, was breaking in real time. I could see her calculating, thinking of what else she could do, any last move to regain authority, but every option she had left only dug her deeper. At that moment, I felt a hand on my shoulder. One of the neighbors, a veteran like me, whispered, "We've got your back. Don't let her win." I nodded, a subtle smirk forming. This wasn't just about my family anymore. It was about exposing abuse, showing that the truth and preparedness always outweigh lies and intimidation. Karen's face twisted. You're trying to humiliate me," she spat. I shook my head slowly. "No, Karen, I'm just letting the street see what's really happening. The camera capture everything, every lie, every tantrum, every fake threat." And for the first time, she realized this wasn't a private battle anymore. Suddenly, a third twist landed hard. The local sheriff's department, alerted by neighbors calling as Karen tried to escalate, rolled up. Real officers, lights flashing, taking in the scene. Karen's smirk vanished instantly. Her attempts to play enforcer were over. I handed them the tablet, the security footage, the recordings, every bit of evidence meticulously collected. The officers looked at her, then at me. "You've been impersonating law enforcement and threatening residents," one officer said, voice steady. Karen's face paled, and she stammered, It's just HOA rules." The officer raised an eyebrow. "You're under investigation. Step back." The street erupted in whispers, some cheering quietly, others filming the moment. My wife sighed in relief, holding the baby tight. "I can't believe this is actually happening," she said softly. I nodded, feeling the weight of the moment settle. Justice wasn't instant, but it was unfolding right in front of everyone who had witnessed the abuse. Karen, now realizing her downfall was complete, tried to make one last desperate move. She lunged for the SUV door, yelling at her fake enforcers to flee. But the real officers stepped in. The men in SUVs froze, realizing their fake badges and fake authority wouldn't save them. One of them muttered, "We're done," and started leaving. The crowd began to disperse slowly, murmurs of relief and disbelief filling the air. Neighbors came closer to my wife and me, some offering congratulations, others shaking their heads at Karen's audacity. That the true victory wasn't just in her exposure, it was in the calm realization that preparation, courage, and truth always win over intimidation. I looked at my wife, her eyes glinting with pride and relief. "We did it," she said. I nodded, letting the moment sink in, the baby cooing gently. "No one can touch our family. Not today. Not ever." Even as Karen was escorted away, still sputtering, I felt a sense of deep satisfaction. The street had witnessed a battle for truth and justice, and my family had survived unscathed. The crowd's whispers became a lesson. Power belongs to those who earn it, not to those who demand it. And any attempt to steal that power through lies or intimidation, it collapses under its own weight. The street was quiet now. The SUVs gone, the neighbors returning to their homes, cameras still rolling. I held my wife and baby close, feeling a wave of relief. "I never thought it would get this crazy," she said softly. I smiled, glancing at Karen being led away. "It wasn't supposed to be easy," I said, "but nothing worth protecting ever is." The street was quiet now. The SUVs gone, the neighbors returning to their homes, cameras still rolling. I held my wife and baby close, feeling a wave of relief. "I never thought it would get this crazy," she said softly. I smiled, glancing at Karen being led away. "It wasn't supposed to be easy," I said, "but nothing worth protecting ever is." And in that moment, as the sun rose higher over our quiet street, I realized something important. Power is fleeting, but courage, preparation, and the will to protect your own, that lasts forever. Karen had tried to steal something precious from our families, safety, and failed spectacularly. Even as she disappeared from view, her screams fading, one neighbor whispered, loud enough for everyone to hear, "She never mess with anyone here again," and I knew it was true. For the first time, our street felt free, our family safe, and the lesson clear. Abuse of power can only survive in darkness. Bring it into the light, and it falls apart. By late afternoon, the street was calm, almost eerily quiet after the storm that had raged for hours. Karen had been escorted away, her face a mix of rage, shame, and disbelief. The fake authority she clung to reduced to nothing more than a cautionary tale. The neighbors lingered outside, some nodding in quiet approval, others still staring in stunned amazement. Everyone had seen it, the breakdown of a tyrant's facade in real time. My wife sat on the porch steps, baby in her arms, finally allowing herself to breathe. "I can't believe we made it through all that," she said softly. I wrapped an arm around her, feeling the warmth and relief settle over us like a shield. "It wasn't just about surviving," I said. "It was about showing that no one can intimidate or threaten a family that's ready and prepared to protect itself." The street felt different now. The power that had once belonged to fear and lies had shifted. People came out of their homes slowly, offering congratulations, handshakes, even small gifts. Mr. Hawkins, who had first rallied the neighbors with the megaphone, clapped me on the shoulder. "You didn't just protect your family," he said. "You reminded all of us what standing up really looks like." I looked down at the baby, who cooed and blinked innocently, oblivious to the chaos she had survived. "You see this?" I whispered to my wife. "This is why we fight, why we protect, why we never back down when the truth is on our side." She smiled, tears welling up, and I felt a wave of pride that went deeper than any medal or recognition. Even as the sun began to set, I knew the story wasn't just ours. The footage would circulate among neighbors, shared with friends and family, a permanent record of Karen's attempts to control and intimidate and her spectacular failure. Justice had been served without violence, without revenge, but with undeniable truth. By the time night fell, our street had returned to normal, the kind of normal that comes after a storm clears. Law enforcement had taken statements, neighbors had gone home, and Karen's presence felt like a distant memory. I sat with my wife on the porch, the baby asleep in her arms, and felt the weight of exhaustion mixed with victory. "We did it," she whispered. "We really did it." I nodded. "Yeah," I said, "and we showed everyone here what real courage looks like. The kind that protects family, respects the law, and never lets fear dictate your life." As the stars began to shine above our quiet street, I realized that no fake authority, no entitlement, and no HOA tyrant could ever take away what mattered most. Our family, our home, and our freedom to live without fear had been defended, and the lesson was clear. Power might be demanded, but respect and justice are earned. And somewhere, in the distance, the faint hum of neighbors' lives returning to normal reminded me of one simple truth. We fight not for the fight itself, but for the people we love. That's a force no fake notice, no fake cop, and no Karen could ever defeat. The story ends with justice served, family safe, and the villain exposed, leaving a lasting emotional and satisfying conclusion for the audience.